Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for another video. I'm your host, Sheena Loves Stories, and today we're going to be going over my reading update for July, August, and September. I don't know why I cannot remember the order of these months, but here we are. So I have not been reading a lot of novels or anything. I've been doing a lot of reading in the Bible. I've been doing a lot of Bible studies and all of that type of stuff. So that's just kind of taken up my time, my reading time after work and what I'm doing like in my spare time. And work got a little crazy for a bit, so we haven't been reading much. So I'm lumping all three together right now, and I figured I would show you a little update in my reading journal. This is my minimalistic reading journal. If you have not seen me set that up, I do have a video on that, but it's just a notebook. I set it up with a pen and just a notebook. In the beginning, I have all of the physical books that I own. These are all the things that are on my bookshelf, and I am trying to create a more intentional library. So I'm trying to read every single novel I own and decide if it's a keeper or not. If it's not a keeper, it'll be rehomed. And so I can clear out some space and have just books that I want to read in there. The next part of my reading journal is an index. It has the page number for my little book review, my little blurb about the book I read and the title and how many stars I gave it, my little rating. That way I can quick glance at it if there's something I want to look at, if I just want to see the lovely stars or anything like that. And what I was doing in my reading journal was I would have a calendar that showed what I read on what days, so I could have a visual of how much I read. And I had a little story graph info dump there of what I'm reading. Since I'm not reading as much and I don't plan on slowing down on my other reading and my other studies, I'm going to take that out and just put that into my regular planner. Keep that, I have it already kept in my planner of what I read on each day. So I'm just going to keep it there and then just kind of more minimalize my reading journal. So I'm going to put the title and my index and where it's at, and then I'm just going to do a book review. Since I am taking out a calendar and doing just more of the book blurbs, I will be putting more effort into those. I'm not going to say any spoilers for the books, but the entries that I'm going to be writing in there may have spoilers if you can read my handwriting. Most people can't. It's okay. So what I've enjoyed about this minimalistic reading journal is I don't use anything other than a pen and my notebook anymore. Well, at most is that little bookmark I have there. There's a paper clip in there so I don't lose it. This is a spiral bound notebook, so I don't want to lose that part. So I just have a little paper clip glued inside there, but I don't use anything other than pens, markers, or anything like that. When I first started this reading journal, I had ballpoint pens and some like zebra click art markers that I would use, but my husband since then has very graciously got me some fountain pens. So here I am using my Black Lemmy Safari and using a brown shimmer ink. You can't see the shimmer in the video because I filmed this at night and the shimmer just did not want to shimmer on camera. But I'm using Ferris Wheel Press Land of Shangri-La ink. It's a brown ink with gold shimmers in it, and it's pretty, pretty, pretty. So what I do is, since I'm not using a printer or anything to print out the book covers, I still want the visual of the book cover there. So I decided I'm going to doodle it. I'm going to doodle it. And we're going to see how close things match up and just kind of give me that visual clue of like, oh yeah, it's kind of like that. So the first book that I read, or the only book that I read in July, was The Shadow Family. This was written by C.K. Morris, and I received this as an ARC and Advanced Reader copy. This book is out now on Amazon. I read it digitally. It was about 199 pages, and I started this in June and finished this at the beginning of July. And this book was very interesting. This is by a first-time author, and I went on a whole roller coaster of emotions with this book. The beginning, the first prologue to the first chapter was very fantastical, sci-fi horror type of vibes with it. You had like a little hairless bunny type thing without eyes, and the imagery it screamed cosmic horror, and I was all about that. I was like, that is a great idea. I received the arc. I don't read the synopses of any books that I pick up. At most, I know a little bit about them from other YouTubers or anything else that I see on my social medias when I'm following like book content. But other than that, I don't read the little blurbs. I just kind of go on vibes of what I'm feeling. And so this book, I had no idea. I thought it was cosmic horror. It is not. It is not cosmic horror. It felt like it at the beginning, but it wasn't. And it follows, oh, what is her name? I can't even, looking at my notes right now for it, like, I don't even remember her name. There was a girl whose whole backstory was tragic. A traumatic event happened to her, and now that's all she's known as, is being a part of this tragic event. It's pretty sad on what happened in there, and she is dealing with poverty. She's not poor yet. Well, she herself is poor because she's a senior in high school and has never had a job, never like done anything really to get money. And her family is going through a financially hard time. Her father put them in a situation that is causing them to be financially just about ruined. They're having to leave, and her mom is a emotional mess. And this girl decided that she wants to move to LA. She wants to move to California and become a big time, super successful, awesome screenwriter. That's it. She has a whole thing about the Ramones, the band Ramones. I don't think anybody of this age, she's a teenager, she's a senior in high school. I don't think anybody this age really knows who the Ramones are, can quote their songs or talk about their lyrics or anything like that. But this girl has a fascination with the Ramones. I was like, wow, when I was that age, I didn't even have a fascination with the Ramones. But okay, it's fine. And she gets an invitation to a distant family member who was estranged and she had no idea existed until then, who is going to pay her to come to her 18th birthday in a cabin in the woods in the secluded mountains. And while, the most common response to this is, something's fishy. It's a little sus. She does not really think that way. She looked her up on Facebook, so obviously everything's on the up and up. Which, again, I'm not even on Facebook. I am well into my 30s. I don't know many teenagers anymore, but I don't know any teenagers who are like, my go-to social media is Facebook. But okay, it's fine. And this long-lost relative decided that she wants to connect with her family. They had a big split in the family some time ago, and she's trying to connect, and she was homeschooled, so she's a little socially awkward, and she'll pay her. And then she casually slips in that her side of the family shadow funds movies. So that tells this girl with a tragic past that she will get money, enough money that she can move to California and become a famous screenwriter. And not only that, this person who she has never heard of before, never met before, has a profile on Facebook that's only 6 months old, will help her become a famous screenwriter. Again, sus. But all she's seeing is dollar signs here, and that's all she wants. That's her whole motivation going into like a little bit more than half of the book is just to get money to get the hell out of where she's at. And she's super pissed at her dad for putting them in this situation, so she decides like he doesn't really exist. They don't really talk. She has a little sister who they don't really talk because her little sister is popular in school. She's a cheerleader. Not only is she a cheerleader, she got like a part-time job and she has her own car, and she's what I would see more as a normal-ish teenager than this girl. But she's the complete opposite, and so she just keeps throwing like Ramones lyrics at her, and there's some tension there. This mysterious person inside her, like the other part of her family, just like, yeah, you know what? I'll pay you more if you bring your sister. Which again, you're hearing that out of like without seeing this like 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old girl visualize your mind. It sounds creepy, right? It sounds wrong. Sounds wrong. This girl does not think so. She's like, all right, I'm going to bring my sister. And she decides to bring her boyfriend because her boyfriend is the all-star basketball player, super awesome person, and he has a car that she can use. And she manipulates him into going. And they all go to this creepy cabin in the woods in these mountains. And that's where the story mostly takes place. And so I got super excited. Like I said, I thought it was like cosmic horror, like fantastical type things going on. And I was really excited about it. And then I was like, all right. So obviously, that's not a thing. That's not happening. We're going to be a part of this. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe it's going to be more like that movie, Glorious. If you have not seen it, that's a horror movie on Shudder or AMC, one of the two. It's on Amazon right now. I like it. It's a really great cosmic horror movie, but it takes place in a travel stop bathroom. And it's really strange, and I love it. It's so great. I rewatched it again a couple of days ago, and it's great. I love the movie. I thought this was going to be kind of like that. A somewhat pedestrian type of setting, but it would get steadily crazier. And it did. It got steadily crazier. However, it wasn't the steadily crazier that I was expecting. I was expecting something completely different. So where this I thought was going into some type of fantastic cosmic horror type stuff, it took a hard turn into fantastical sci-fi. It worked really well. I did not care for these characters, but I didn't care for them the way I don't care for like hanging around teenagers. They're annoying. They're very self-centered. They think they know everything. Depending on some of them, they like to argue. Like, I don't care for teenagers. I've had teenagers. They're just I just want to call my dad a lot and be like, I am so sorry. So sorry. I love you so much. It's just kind of that vibe. I don't care for them because I don't care for other people's kids. And these are other people's kids, and they're teenagers, and they're making very teenage choices, which, when I personally don't like, is fantastic. That fits so much in the story. And it goes into this horror movie-esque type thing in this cabin, and there's all kinds of crazy things happening. And the way that I thought the cosmic horror was going to come in, it was not. It was replaced by sci-fi, and it was done really well. I was surprised by it. And after I got about halfway into the book, it just kept going. It kept going, and the story kept getting better and more crazy and outlandish, but it all tied together. It all tied together, and at the end, there was a surprise that I didn't know was going to happen. I thought it was going to be like a lot of modern horror movies that have teenagers in it, which is, oh, somehow we all survived. I was stabbed 4 times, but it's okay, I'm alive. Like, there was a chapter where it was giving me that type of vibe, and that did not happen. I will tell you that. Like, it gets crazy. It completely gets crazy. And there was a semi-happy ending, but not really. It kind of depends on how you look at it. And there's room for more in this universe, which is really weird. I don't know if I'm hoping for more in this universe, like more of a continuation of this story or not. But I am looking forward to more of this author. I think that this author has some extremely weird and awesome ideas, and I'm here for it. But after compiling up my call pile scores, this book got a 3.4 rating, which I rounded it up. So I put it down as a 3.5 in my story graph and in the index. And that was the only book that I read in July. The next one that I read was for August. This one is called She Who Sleeps Beneath the Trees. This was written by Christopher Jerome. This was also another arc that I received digitally. This was about 273 pages, and it took me 2 days to read in August. And this was interesting. I read this in August, so it was after Shadow Family, obviously. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm I'm really more interested in these new horror writers who have not published before. So that's why I picked this up. Picked this up just on the cover alone and because of the title. Because I was like, who sleeps beneath the trees? Do you mean, is she gone? Like, or is she legit sleeping? I don't know. Tell me, story, tell me. So this follows a podcaster who does true crime and type of cryptid-ish content online, and he is running out of stories. He is running out of things to say, running out of things to report on. He's losing listeners and things, so he decides he needs something more. And while he's trying to figure out what to do with the something more, he gets an invite to an investigation in a small town by one of his listeners. And so he travels to this town, and he's like, all right, I'm going to see what's going on here, because in this small town, there have been murders. There have been murders around, and he doesn't really know who's doing it, but he decides this is going to be some great content. He is going to be in an investigation for this, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to have book deals or all of this type of, like, he's thinking future ahead of all of this is what's going to go on. And so he decides to go there, and when he gets there, he realizes this town is weird. Like, this town is so odd. The people in it are weird, like they're acting weird, they're interacting with him very oddly. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to try and see if I can do this investigation. But while he's there, a lot of weird stuff starts happening. There's a lot of, doesn't say it on the back, but I don't feel like I'm going to be really spoiling anything. There's a lot of, I guess you would call it supernatural type of events happening. There's a lot of events. They don't make sense until you start reading further into the book. And then you can start tying things together. You start realizing, oh, the thing in, chapter 3, that's now relevant in this chapter here. And it goes back and forth on what you think you need to know. The back of the thing says, it talks about secret societies hide in the shadows, and the dead always don't stay that way. Can Trey find his way through the madness, or will he nourish the roots of Jackson Point? Because at the beginning, they keep talking about roots and nourishing them and stuff like that. Like, it sounds really culty. And as you go through it, you start learning more of what's going on in this town. I don't care for the way that the story took place around the town, like the reasoning for the town being the town and what originally started off the events happening. Like, okay, I understand it. I just wish there was more thought, I guess, put into the beginning of what happened for this town. And it does the thing that I don't really like. And I've noticed this a lot with a lot of these arcs that I'm getting, a lot of these new horror writers. They have a series in mind for what they want to do. It's like they're planning to have a whole 10 book series in this one universe. So what they decide to do is their first book is an introduction. It's like an introduction chapter to the whole series. They introduce you to a lot of the things, but there's nothing that is accomplished by the end of the book. There's nothing really other than we were introduced to the characters and the setting, and it took you over 200 pages to introduce me to the setting and the characters without any resolution to what's really going on. And the ending is just like that in this book. I had that with, The Dark Matter, where it's introducing you into this huge universe, and the universe is interesting. The stories that they want to tell within the universe are very interesting, but I need you to take some cues from like 90s to 2000 television shows to where yes, it's an episodic thing. Like you have your whole overarching story, but each episode you need to have one story contained within that episode. Putting in links to a bigger thing like this. Those reasons that our specials or part one or part two of an episode was a really big deal because I was handling a big part of the story and tying up everything. Each book should have a story that you finish within the book. I don't feel like I am unreasonable in saying that I want a full story within a book. This does not give me that. This, like I said, it's an introduction. And I don't like that. I don't like that it's a common thing and it's starting to be a trend. I don't like that. But the story itself, the universe was very interesting. And I was like, this is going to be a very interesting thing. I don't know if I'll pick up the next author's book. Hopefully by the second or third one, it'll be a little bit worked out better. I don't know. The story, the universe was interesting. The story was feeling completely unresolved in this book. So after my call pile scores, I rated this a 3.2, which goes to a 3.25 in Storygraph. So I read 2 books, 1 book in July, 2 books in August. The second book that I read in August was called Monster. This was written by Ailey Martinez, and I read this physically. It's about 295 pages, and I started this in July and finished it towards the end of August. And this is a book that I've read before. I like Ailey Martinez. I like the way that his humor is in his books. And I also really enjoy books that mix the fantastical with the mundane. He has a way of writing it in his books that I really enjoy. I really enjoy it. So this book follows Monster. Monster works at the Biological Containment Services Center, which is a part of Animal Services, and he is a freelancer for this cryptobiological containment services, and he works overnights, and he changes colors every time he goes to sleep. His whole skin changes colors every time he goes to sleep because of an incident that happened with a basilisk. It's just a side effect of what happened. So he turns colors, and each time he turns colors, each color corresponds to a different thing. Like he can become invisible if he closes his eyes, or he becomes invulnerable to fire, or like something odd like that. And all of these different colors are corresponding to, and they're just random. Every time he goes to sleep, he wakes up a different color. Oh, and he has a demon girlfriend, but he's just a regular dude, just trying to live and just do his job. And he meets Judy. Judy works as a stocking girl in a grocery store overnight. And she is at work when a bunch of Yetis show up and start eating all the stuff and knocking things over and trying to attack her. So she calls Animal Services, like animal control, because it's what you do. And they send Monster. Monster goes, does the containment stuff, and Judy's got a whole lot of stuff going on that she doesn't really understand or know about, and Monster gets roped in to all the stuff that's going on with Judy unintentionally. He really doesn't want to. He really does. He just wants to do his job and go home. But he gets roped into it, and it's really funny because Judy and Monster, they're not like good people. In this book, there's not a clear-cut good guy and bad guy. They get put in roles, but they're not like really good people. They're not chivalrous or anything like that. They're down on their luck, normal people. And they make down on their luck, normal people choices and decisions. And there's times where I was like, you know what? Yeah, if I was in that position, being down on my luck, like I remember being homeless. I get that. I understand the choices this person is making. And Ailey Martinez has a way of writing characters like this without making everybody super morally gray. So you don't know who to like root for. And when somebody beats somebody else and whatever, there's like, it's not really emotionally satisfying. Ailey Martinez has a way of putting them in their roles in a way that makes you feel like you feel their reluctance in a lot of these things. And the way the humor works with it and everything, it works. It works in a really weird way. And this is, I think, the fourth book of his that I've read, like ever. I don't know how many he has. I'm pretty sure he has a lot more now. I bought this book a long time ago. But it works. It works. I really like it. I really like the humor in this book. I really like the fact that there's a section of animal control that just handles cryptids. That's all they do. And there's this whole magical world. And it explains why in the real world, real people have a problem with things going on. There's a whole system for that. So when I'm like, well, why doesn't anybody else see that? It makes sense. And I really enjoyed that. So I rated this book, after all my call pile scores, a 4.5 out of 5. And I don't have to round that up or down or anything. It is there. Aha, there it is. And September, I only read one book. I only finished one book. I started reading a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them that I just put down. It's like, I don't have time for this nonsense. But in September, I read The Familiar. This was written by Leigh Bardugo. I read this digitally, and it was 385 pages. I started this in late August and finished it in early September. And I had high hopes for this book because I follow a bunch of other different YouTubers and things who do a lot of book reviews, book talk things, and this author and this book in particular is talked really highly of by a lot of people who I'm like, okay, I like your takes. You just don't read this one genre, or like I've read some of the things you read before and I really enjoyed them. So I was really excited about this. And this book takes place during the Spanish Inquisition in Spain. It follows a girl who is like a maid for this regal-ish family. They're not rich, but they have titles. And she works for them, and she's able to use magic. She's able to use magic in, it doesn't say in the review, I don't know if you guys want to know how she gets it done, but she uses magic. She was taught magic by her aunt, and she's an orphan girl working as a maid for this family. She does magic. She's caught by the mistress of the house using magic. And the mistress decides she wants to exploit her using magic, not for money or anything like that, for her own social status. When they're doing this in this own social status, she gets found out, and there is a secretary, I think it's secretary to the king, who fell out of favor with the king, and he is trying to set up a tournament to find the king's new champion. This champion is going to be able to be like holy. Which is weird, and if you understand like the whole Inquisition and what was going on, like he would set up a thing like, no, we're going to battle the rest of this holy war by finding a holy champion. So they find him and other people, these other rich people are finding people who have talents of a magical variety, and they're going to put them in a tournament, and then in the end, the one person who wins is going to be presented to the king to be the king's holy champion, so the secretary can find favor with the king and be back in his good graces. Like that's the whole political thing going on right there. And this girl who is the maid, she gets roped into all of this, and ends up, trying to think of what would be spoilery and what would be not spoilery. She meets okay, so it's here in the thing. She meets a man who is a familiar to a rich lord, and he's immortal, and he understands magic and all this stuff, and he's supposed to train her. And she has murder attempts happening on her life, and she's trying to navigate this while hiding where her magic comes from, because it is the Inquisition, and she's just trying to navigate all of these political things without having any like political knowledge. She's never had any friends before. She's never really had a family before. So getting thrust into these situations where she has to be social and navigate the social dynamics of a politically charged Inquisition area, not regalty, I don't know. all of the lords and ladies and all of that stuff, these higher class people that she only waited on. And she does make mistakes that cost because she doesn't know any better. There's a lot of the times, how would she know? She has no idea about this. And there is a romance in it. There's a few romance stories in it. And at the beginning of it, I thought it was going to turn out way different than what it did. By the middle of it, I was really vibing with this book. I was like, all right, cool. I see how this could go wrong in so many ways, and now I'm intrigued. How is this going to turn out? How is she going to navigate this? I really started to like it by the middle of the book, but then after the middle of the book, I started to really not care. I didn't care for a lot of the romance stories that were the subplots, and the one of them that was not so much of a subplot, and I was like, okay, this is a thing. And I was just, by the end of it, I was just really disappointed. I was like, this book would have been so much better if the ending was different. The ending for me, it took down a lot of the enjoyment. Like the whole last chapter, I was just like, really? Really? This is what you're going to go with it? It reminds me of a movie that I just watched yesterday. What was it? Bring Her Back. Where I'm like, the ending doesn't match the rest of the story. The ending doesn't match. There's something wrong here, and it took me completely out of my enjoyment, my immersion of the book or the movie. Like, it didn't match. I didn't like it. So I was really disappointed with that one. It started off good, or started off okay. The middle was really great, and I was like, yes, we're going to go more into this. It's going to be crazy, or it's going to be very heartbreaking, but it wasn't. It was a mismatched ending that I did not enjoy. So after the call pile scores for that one, I rated that a 2.8, and that translates to a 2.75 for Storygraph. But like I said, I haven't been reading much novels lately, and hopefully I will get back to reading a lot more. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate and schedule my time, especially with the holidays coming up. I work as a mail carrier, so it's going to be not enough time for me to be able to read as much things. So I'll probably, if I'm only reading 1 or 2 books a month, then I will probably just do them batched up like this. Or maybe I'll do a little small video. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that is an update on what I've been reading for these past few months. And an update on my minimalistic reading journal. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. If there's a way to get them physically, I'll put where you can get them physically through your local bookstore. And if there's a way to get them secondhand, I will also put that in the description below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. Don't forget to do all of the YouTube things, like, subscribe, all of that. Hopefully I'll be reading more, so I'll have more book-related content to put out there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.